Hey everyone, welcome back to Sama Sisters Against Mental Abuse. And today I want to share an article with you. It is an older article, but it is still very relevant. The author is Koi Mai, and it just depicts the normal sort of cycle that happens in abusive relationships. But a lot of us, when we are caught up in this cycle, we don't really pay attention. We don't know what's happening, and we're also desensitized to mental abuse and like gaslighting. We just think this person is being difficult, or I just have to be patient. We think all sorts of things, but we need to start identifying these behaviors and putting a name to it. And I think that this article is very important because it's like looking in a mirror. You'll be able to see some of the things that she's saying, and I think a lot of us will identify with it. So without further ado, I just kind of want to jump into the article. I won't read all of it, but I will post the link in the description box for you to read it all yourself. So the author starts off talking about how she was in an on and off again relationship for 5 years and it depleted her. So, of course, a lot of us have been in these types of relationships. And I always say, if you are in a relationship that is on and off, there's a red flag there. And I think that you know it. Most times you know something's wrong, but for some reason, our brains are like, well, we can do this again. We can try over. But for 5 years, it would deplete you, of course. Um, so these kinds of relationships are toxic, and no one is going to change my mind. Something is wrong. She didn't wasted 5 years. So in the first sentence, we already see a pattern that is a huge red flag. So lately, she's been thinking about why aren't we talking about how often Black women are gaslighted? She talks about the circle being he would reach out to her, he would pretty much love bomb her, and then do what he needed to do to regain her trust. They would get back together, things would be great for a few weeks, and then he would revert back. He would revert back to pulling away, avoiding her. And she would be the one standing there like, what did I do wrong? What's going on? And then when she tried to communicate, there'd be a huge fight. So pay attention to the cycle. So he would love bomb her, which she refers to this as grandiose romantic gesture. I call it love bombing, like this big show of love and affection and praise. And he's showering you with attention and gifts and whatever he needs to do to get you back. And it happens rather quick. So the gesture has to be huge most times. Then, she would trust him again. Oh, okay, he's changed. This can work. She'd take him back, and for a couple weeks things will be great, and then he would revert back. So by the time he goes back to his old ways or gets distance, which in my mind is manipulation, because it's like, okay, so you loved bombed her and you got her to this certain spot where she's happy and she's thinking that everything it's going well, and then you just pull away. That's manipulation, and true abusers do this on purpose because they want to have control and they want to exercise that control and they want to show you that they have that control as well. So by the time she gets around to talking about it, because I'm sure that she's in a state of walking on eggshells, um, she tries to talk about it. I'm sure that he played dumb, and then there will be a huge fight. And in this particular situation, she talks about during these fights how he talks about his mental health. So one time he said that he beat up his car in a fit of depression. And then during another argument, he told her, hey, so if I did this to my car, imagine what I would do to you. That's another red flag. Like, why are you threatening me? Like, what what situation is it in which you need to threaten me? So you're telling me essentially you're gonna beat up on me like you beat up on your car? And who beats up on their car anyway? Like, dude is obviously off his rocker, but it didn't scare her. It felt normal to her. It seemed normal because that's what she's been taught, that's what she saw growing up. And we also have to pay attention to when we're in these abusive relationships, what are our children seeing? what are our younger cousins seeing, or our nieces or our nephews? So she thinks that this is normal because that's all she ever saw. When in reality, this is so many different, there's manipulation in here, there's intimidation, there is like love bombing, there's multiple different types of abuse happening, and she just thinks it's normal. But it's not normal because 9 times out of 10, this is also destroying your self-esteem, and it's creating a dependency on someone who you can't depend on at all, because look, he's just gonna go away, he's just gonna distance himself. And so she thinks that this is cool because of the ride or die, loyal Black woman, the Black woman that's taught to stand by her man and put up with whatever he gets you. And you are the one that's left there making excuses for him. And most importantly, you're gaslighting yourself, because I think most of us know that this behavior is not okay. Deep down, we know it's not okay, but we have been socialized and we've been taught and we've been almost brainwashed to accept this behavior, gaslight ourselves, and make excuses for this person. Nowhere in this article did she say, that he would make a good excuse, or that he would say, hey, it's me, I need to fix myself. There's nothing here that indicates that he took any responsibility, but she's taking responsibility for him and her. So she's blaming herself, trying to figure out what she's done when it's really him. So she talks about how Black women are readily available to just accept whatever men dish out, and she's used to that. She talks about being responsible for fixing. Like I just said, it was a part of being a Black woman in a romantic relationship. You have to take the burden of whatever is around you, and you have to make an excuse for this man as well. So this is the status quo. She points that out. Um, she talks about losing ourselves. That's another thing. And this is why I complain so much about y'all need to have boundaries, because she's neglecting her needs, her desires, and her feelings for him. And he's invalidating her feelings to make sure that everything that she does is for him and centered around him. And that's how it comes. We've seen it with our grandparents, our grandmothers doing everything and watching the man just kind of sit there while she carries the burden of the family. She carries the burden of her own stuff. She carries, the burden of whatever he's got going on, the children, everyone. So reconnecting with yourself is super important, but she's not doing that. She picked up on the coded language that he would use to manipulate her, and it worked. It looked like what she was used to. A lot of guilting, it sounds like. Well, you don't care about me. Have you ever heard any man say that to you? Oh, you don't care about me. Even parents, you don't care about me. They know that you care about them, but they're using your good nature against you. So she goes into more detail. It's something that I have noticed as well in the research. It says that Black women experience way higher rates of psychological abuse, and that includes humiliation and name calling, insults, coercive control, all of these different types of abuse than non-Black women. And this is not surprising because we'll get into this at some point later, but look at the workplace. We're gaslit in the workplace. We're expected to carry the burden of everything, and it goes beyond our community as well, because now we are the image of strength and we can handle anything. And so she goes on to talk about her friends and people that she know. And one woman that she talks to is speaking about how it was so easy to paint her out as crazy and mean and just use all these stereotypes against her. It wasn't very difficult because we already deal with those stereotypes, whether or not we fit into those. We have to prove ourselves constantly, and it's exhausting. So I just, this was a very, very good article. There will be more to come, but I just wanted to share this with you, and hopefully you take something from it. And the key is boundaries and getting in touch with yourself. Know yourself and stop neglecting yourself and your needs for a man. Like we have to cut that out. It's 2022 and we're not doing the ride or die loyal. We're not doing that anymore because it's wearing on our mental health and in a lot of cases our physical health as well because we're neglecting ourselves completely. So I just wanted to go through this article. I hope that you all find it useful. I will post the link in the description box. Don't forget to let me know what you all think about this article. Is it a cycle that you're familiar with? Have you seen it in your life or other people's lives that are close to you? What did you think about the article overall if you've read it? Was the author on point or do you feel like she was being a little bit dramatic? Lastly, don't forget to subscribe. You can hit the notification bell if you want to know when we upload. And you can also follow us on Facebook as Sisters Against Mental Abuse. And we are also on Instagram at Sama Together Now. I'll see you later.